Hello Patreon and YouTube, this is Nathan P. Butler, and this is our project update for May 2018. I'm recording this on May 26th of 2018, and I gotta say, this has not been a very productive month. We'll get into why and what has been able to be done here within the month here very shortly. First, I want to say thank you to all the Patreon supporters who are helping to make projects like these possible. We, of course, over on the Patreon, which is patreon.com/NathanPButler, have our sort of starting out tier, right? Our $1 or more tier, which are the travelers to the Butlerniverse. These are the people who get a thanks in the credits of these episodes and who will wind up getting thanks as part of the credits of a thanks page in the next edition of my book, A Saga on Home Video, A Fan's Guide to U.S. Star Wars Home Video Releases, which is going to be probably in late 2019 or mid-2020. Still haven't quite decided that one yet. So, thank you very much to that first tier of patrons, including Thomas Myers, Martin Dahl, Austin Pierce, Jeremiah Mustard, and S.W. Chris. Then, of course, we have our denizens of the Butlerniverse. That's the $5 and up tier. That's the tier that gets people exclusive audio commentaries that I've produced, primarily for the Clone Wars, but including stuff like Forces of Destiny so far. In that tier, of course, we have David Ray, Jeff Ellis, Joy Zitzman, Stephen M., Sam Howard, Chris Morgan, Robert Medina, Bobby Craig, and Jason Hunt. And lastly, we have the Nobility of the Butlerniverse. This is the level where you get to have those exclusive monthly Q&A videos, although recently there really haven't been questions presented for those, so we're probably going to be looking at some type of a tweak to that formula. More on that in a moment. But in the Nobility tier, the $10 and up tier, we have Gary Sherwood, Benjamin Handelman, Andrew Bettis, and Aaron Melzak, along with Brian Snook. So thank you very much to those of you who are supporting through the Patreon. I really appreciate it. That helps keep this stuff alive and keeps me able to actually afford to keep up with things like the reviews and whatnot. I am expecting probably for there to be a change to the process for the higher tiers, so let's talk about Patreon first. This month there was not an exclusive Q&A because in the collection thread that was posted for the entire month of April, there weren't any questions that got asked. So in essence, the people who are in that top tier got access to watch the old ones, never asked any new questions, and therefore didn't get access to a new one. I always would like to see people who are supporting at that tier be able to sort of get their money's worth, so to speak, by actually being able to get that material instead of just having access to basically the $5 tier's commentaries, because if that's the case, why not pledge 5 instead of 10, for instance? So what I'm probably going to do, if this month winds up with another month where there aren't any questions asked, and so far there aren't any, that, again, there would not be a Q&A video, but I'll start trying to collect basically just random general questions, Star Wars and otherwise, so that we have some sort of sitting back so that in a month where we don't have any questions asked, I can just pull one or two and do a quick Q&A with that. So at least there is still that exclusive content for the higher tier. As for that $5 tier, that $5 and up, I guess, tier, right, so that the denizens and the nobility can get access to it, we have, of course, new commentaries being released, and May saw the release of 2 new ones. We had them for the Clone Wars episodes Dooku Captured and the Gungan General, so lots of griping about the need for a webcomic in between to make any damn sense between those two. I have had the chance to go through and record some more commentaries to get ready for next month. Next month, of course, will be Jedi Crash and Defenders of Peace. Both of those are recorded. One's edited, one's not yet. And I did get a chance to record the first one for the following month, which is the episode of Clone Wars called Trespass. I've also been given a link to the newest of the Forces of Destiny combined volumes, so I'll probably be doing a commentary for that sometime soon, as well as like a bonus commentary for the Patreon supporters. As for the Star Wars Timeline Gold, continue to work on the timeline. Now that I've got some detailed notes for Solo, I'm ready to start preparing to summarize that. I did finally finish reading Last Shot. I've kept up for the most part with the comics, but now I have other books to read like Most Wanted, not to be confused with the god-awful Acker and Blacker Most Wanted comic about DJ. God, that sucked. But not a lot of time getting into the timeline and stuff this month. The reason for that, and the reason for really a lot of the lack of time and how there's just not as much stuff that came out this month, comes back to a combination of 2 things. Health stuff with my wife, and just the end of a semester. This was the year of teaching online that added a whole lot of extra stuff on us throughout the course of really the whole year, but especially the second semester. And the last few weeks of the semester were absolutely batshit insane. of just the sheer amount of stuff going on and moving pieces to keep track of and things to get ready for, I'm getting ready to train summer teachers for our summer session without really much of a break in between. Like, the students officially finished on the 18th, but then some had to be extended to the 22nd, and grades had to be in by the 24th, but then, we have the weekend of Memorial Day, and then I'm in meetings for an entire week for something else that I do for the school system, and then boom, we're into summer training and summer session. It's just been a crazy last month of the semester, more so than it usually is, which sucked up a lot of time. But on top of that, my wife went into the hospital, and things sort of changed because of that. When last we spoke, she had gone into the ER a few times she works at a hospital, basically, so if you get sent home because you're ill or you're having a health problem of some kind, you got to go to the ER before they'll send you. So she had already had that happen about 4 times during the pregnancy. And then on May 3rd, we're taking her to the next of the OB appointments so that, we can have them check on the baby and, ultrasound and all that kind of stuff. And the night before, she wasn't feeling well, and then in the car, she's in so much pain, she's in tears. And we get there, and very quickly, it's like 9 o'clock in the morning, the doctor says, yeah, you need to go next door to the hospital to the OB-ER, like, immediately. So they take her over there, and all throughout May 3rd, they're running tests and trying to figure out what the heck is going wrong. They think it's her appendix, because apparently having your appendix taken out is the second most common surgery for pregnant women outside of a C-section. I had no idea. Turns out that wasn't it at all. It was old GI issues she's run into sort of reasserting themselves. But she had to stay overnight, so we wound up staying overnight into the morning of May the 4th be with you, the morning of May 4th, when we finally get some information by the afternoon so she can be discharged. We did get our Solo ticket. She pulled up the app for the movie theater and actually bought our tickets for Solo, I guess I bought the tickets for Solo using the app from her phone while we were sitting there in the hospital, so that was done. But, it was kind of a trying experience, a freaking out experience. We tried to make it as normal as possible, watching one of the Stanley Cup playoff games while we were sitting in there, because we actually don't watch them at home. We're probably going to have to get Sling TV to watch that on NBC at home, because antennas don't work very well here. But that kind of derailed that couple of days. And after that, she went back to work they pulled her for a couple days from work, and she went back for about a week. And she has accommodations for her health issues at work, particularly relating to the pregnancy, but it's such a small team that even if the things say, she needs to be able to be off her feet as much as possible, when there's only like 2 or 3 people there for this whole big space that they're in to get everything done, it's not necessarily always going to be possible, so they were really bad at actually holding to her accommodation. So she could have sued them if she wanted to. But she got to a point where the next time we were able to see the doctor, it was, she just needs to be pulled. So they pulled her for 2 weeks. In the middle of that 2 weeks, she went back for another appointment, and as of that appointment, they have pulled her entirely. So she will no longer be working until after the child is born, and in the interim, it's all a combination of Family Medical Leave Act and maternity leave and short-term disability and then long-term disability and all this kind of stuff. Some paid, some not, kind of a weird situation. But because of that, the dynamic around here has changed. Usually on a lot of days, I can record just about any time, no big deal, but I try not to do that when she is here because it's kind of neglectful to be just off in another room just recording stuff while she's sitting there with nothing to do. So we kind of had to come up with a new dynamic of times for me to be able to record for podcasts and to be able to record videos and so forth and things like that. So the recording and just the ability to be productive on that sort of level has dropped in the last month and will probably continue to be a lower level, especially since I'm going to be working on trying to get the last edition of the timeline out. So from a video release standpoint, it's a little bit slower. I've actually recorded a whole bunch of new episodes From the Star Wars Home Video Library. I haven't had any time to edit any of them yet. So there's stuff that I can edit and put out within hopefully the next month that I've already recorded, but how much will I get to record new stuff within the span of that month? I don't know. It's sort of a new dynamic around here as we're kind of seeing how things go and seeing the best way to make that work when she's not actually working at this point, which is something that hasn't really been the case for a while. So just kind of letting you know that's why the output is a little bit different. I am still working on the timeline, though. The new one's going to be, or the new end one, the last one is going to be still planned for late July, early August. So I'm thinking August is more likely than July now at this point. The new edition of A Saga on Home Video, haven't really got a chance to do anything more with that during this last month or so, though I've been able to get all the pictures I already took for the new pictures into the book, and they look beautiful, so definitely on the right track with that. for that future release whenever it might be. As far as podcasting, no new episodes of Star Wars Beyond the Film since then. We're still collecting feedback so that we can then do an episode with feedback specific to the episode we did on fandom toxicity. So we're going to be doing that very soon, but it hasn't been recorded yet. Michael and I, though, did get together to do a recording for Cloud City Casino. So we have the newest episode of Cloud City Casino, which is episode number 82, which was a focus on the announcement about the new location for the next Star Wars Celebration, the announcements of what's basically version 2.0 for X-Wing, right, the X-Wing 2nd Edition miniatures game and the changes coming to it, and of course some time to talk about at least the initial stages of the Battlefront 2 update for the beginning of the Season of Solo, which was very, very lackluster, quite frankly, to start with. But a decent, fun, informative episode of Cloud City Casino. You can find that at StarWarsReport.com. And I guess lastly, of course, we would look at our videos from YouTube. Again, not a ton since the last update. The last update was back on April 28th. And since then, on May 5th, we had From the Star Wars Home Video Library number 160, which was all about the UK releases of The Last Jedi. I made sure that as soon as we were back, I got that stuff together so the very next day I could record it. That is back from the hospital, to make sure at least that got out in a timely fashion. So you do have the episode about all the US releases of The Last Jedi from the previous month, and then in the most recent month, all the UK ones are covered as well. Finally was able to take a moment and do a quick review of Ghosts of Dathomir for Force and Destiny, the RPG for Fantasy Flight Games, and for Age of Rebellion to do a quick review of Fully Operational. Then we turned our attention to more Legion stuff, and I did a quick review of the different game mats that have now been released for Star Wars Legion for Fantasy Flight Games. And then a couple little quick reviews and product overviews for the 2 new expansions recently released for Legion, which are the General Veers Commander expansion and the Stormtroopers, or excuse me, Snowtroopers, not Stormtroopers, Snowtroopers unit expansion for Legion. So got a chance to get those out there. It's just not been much of a productive month. There's just been way too much other stuff going on. It was all about sort of gearing up for Solo in a lot of ways. And trying to get this stuff out there. But yes, I have new episodes recorded already ahead of time for From the Star Wars Home Video Library. I just have to have time to sit down and edit them after I get the Patreon commentaries edited and ready to go for next month, because one's ready and the other one is not. And as I get things going for more timeline stuff, there's always too much to do in too little time, but this is one of the few months where it really kind of suffered for other stuff happening that just sort of derailed the month's plans. I thought some previous months were a little bit derailed, but this month absolutely takes the cake in that regard. But hopefully, now that my wife is no longer on her feet all day, just about every day, now that she is not working during the pregnancy, hopefully things will calm, things will kind of get back to normal. And hey, it's summer session, not the regular school year, so that should be a little calmer, hopefully, as well. We shall see. So, for this month of May, happy 41st anniversary to A New Hope, to Star Wars in theaters. May the 4th be with you belatedly. I know I said it back on Revenge of the 5th, so to speak, if you want to call it that, when I finally did that episode about the UK releases of The Last Jedi. But thank you for your patience. Thank you for continuing to watch. Thank you for your continued support. And we'll catch you with more material, certainly over the next month, within a new update like this one, about a month from now. Thanks for watching, and thanks for your support.